Right now, something is deciding what you see, what you believe, and what you're even allowed to question. And you never agreed to it. There is a system, invisible, massive, and running 24 hours a day, that shapes the thoughts of 3 billion people. And it was built to do exactly that. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is documented engineering. And today, we're going inside the machine. Think about the last strong opinion you formed. Where did it come from? You. Or from what you were shown? Because here's what most people don't realize: recommendation algorithms don't just respond to your behavior. They shape it. The algorithm doesn't just predict what you want to watch next. It predicts what you'll want to believe next. And then it feeds you exactly that. Let's start with how this system was actually built, because the origin story tells you everything about its true purpose. In the early 2000s, engineers at major tech companies faced a single obsessive problem: how do you keep someone on your platform as long as possible? The answer they found wasn't better content. It was better prediction. Feed people what triggers the strongest emotional response, and they stay. And here is the dark irony: the emotions that keep you engaged the longest are not joy or inspiration. They are outrage, fear, and tribal loyalty. So the engineers built systems optimized for those feelings. Not because they were evil, because the data told them it worked. This is the first hidden mechanism, the engagement trap. The more emotionally volatile the content, the more the algorithm promotes it. A 2021 internal Facebook study found that their own algorithm amplified divisive political content because it generated more interaction. They knew. They kept it running. But divisive content was just the beginning. What came next was far more sophisticated, and far more personal. Modern recommendation systems don't just track what you click. They build a psychological model of who you are, updated in real time, every second you use the platform. How long you paused on an image. How fast you scrolled past a post. Whether your thumb hesitated before you kept going. All of it, recorded. Researchers at Stanford call this behavioral residue, the invisible trail of psychological data you leave behind without knowing it. And from that residue, the algorithm builds something terrifying in its accuracy: a predictive model of your future behavior, and your future beliefs. This brings us to the second hidden mechanism, the identity loop. The algorithm figures out your worldview, and then locks you inside it. You've probably heard the term filter bubble, but that phrase makes it sound harmless. Like a soap bubble. This is not a bubble. This is a mirror maze. Every piece of content that confirms what you already believe trains the algorithm to show you more. And every piece that challenges you gets buried. Over weeks, months, years, the algorithm narrows your world. Not by force. By comfort. It gives you what feels good, and hides what feels uncomfortable. And when your world narrows long enough, you stop noticing it's narrowed. The cage becomes invisible because it was built from your own preferences. Now here's where it gets politically uncomfortable. Because this isn't happening equally across the political spectrum. The data is specific. Research from NYU's Center for Social Media and Politics found that conservative content consistently received higher algorithmic amplification on multiple platforms, not due to bias, but due to engagement patterns. Outrage drives clicks. And emotionally charged content, regardless of political direction, gets amplified. The algorithm doesn't have politics. It has metrics. But here's what that means for you individually: your feed is not a reflection of reality. It is a reflection of what makes you react. This is the third hidden mechanism, reality drift. When your information environment is curated by engagement, you gradually lose the ability to measure what is true. In 2016, studies showed that fabricated news stories spread faster on Facebook than factual ones, not because people wanted lies, but because lies were engineered to trigger stronger emotions. The MIT Media Lab confirmed it in 2018, false information spread 6 times faster than true information on social platforms. 6 times. And the algorithm doesn't fact-check. It doesn't slow down for accuracy. It sees engagement and rewards it. Truth is simply not a variable in the equation. So we now have 3 mechanisms working simultaneously: the engagement trap feeding you outrage, the identity loop locking you in your worldview, and reality drift dissolving your grip on truth. But what makes this truly different from any propaganda system in history is this: it's personalized. It's not a broadcast. It's a whisper designed specifically for you. The Soviet propaganda system reached millions with the same message and hoped it worked on most. Today's algorithm reaches billions with billions of different messages, each one precision engineered for one mind. This is where we need to talk about something called micro-targeting, because this is where the algorithm stops being a content system and starts being a belief engineering system. In 2018, the Cambridge Analytica scandal revealed that Facebook data on 87 million users was used to build psychological profiles and then deliver targeted political messaging designed to change how people voted. They weren't showing the same ad to everyone. They were showing ads crafted specifically for your psychological weak point. Your fear. Your identity. Your tribe. And this technology has only gotten more powerful since 2018. What Cambridge Analytica did manually, modern AI systems do automatically, at a scale they couldn't have imagined. Now let's talk about TikTok specifically, because TikTok's algorithm represents a generational leap in this technology that most people aren't prepared for. TikTok's For You page doesn't require you to follow anyone. It builds your psychological profile from zero, within the first 30 videos you watch. 30. Former TikTok employees have described the algorithm as the most accurate human behavior prediction system ever built by a private company. More accurate than anything the CIA built. And TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, has direct structural ties to the Chinese government through mandatory data sharing laws that went into effect in 2017. What that means is, the most powerful attention-shaping machine on Earth, used by 170 million Americans, operates under legal obligation to share data with a foreign government. Let that sink in. But here's the deeper problem: even if TikTok disappeared tomorrow, the architecture of algorithmic thought shaping would continue on every other platform. Because all of them are running the same race. YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook, Reddit. Each one running its own version of the same system. Each one competing for the same finite resource, your attention. And attention is the currency of the 21st century. Not oil. Not gold. Not even data. Attention. Because whoever holds your attention controls the architecture of your reality. The psychologist B.F. Skinner showed that the most powerful way to control behavior is through variable reward, unpredictable, intermittent reinforcement. Sound familiar? The pull-to-refresh gesture on your phone was designed by former Google engineer Ozzy Raskin, and he has since called it one of the most destructive design decisions in tech history. He estimated that the slot machine effect of social media has collectively stolen 1 billion hours of human attention every day. Every single day. And what is happening in those billion hours? The algorithm is running. Building profiles. Narrowing worldviews. Reinforcing identities. Shaping what feels real. Now here's the psychological layer most people skip over. The algorithm doesn't just change what you think. It changes how you think. Cognitive scientists at Oxford found that prolonged algorithmic media consumption rewires attention span, reducing the ability to hold complex, nuanced, contradictory ideas simultaneously. In simpler terms, the more you consume algorithmic feeds, the less mentally equipped you become to handle reality, which is inherently complex, contradictory, and slow. And this is not metaphorical. Brain imaging studies show physical changes in gray matter density in heavy social media users, in the same regions associated with decision-making and emotional regulation. So the system is not just influencing your opinions. It is physically reshaping the organ you use to form opinions. Your brain. The fourth hidden mechanism is the deepest one, cognitive capture. When the algorithm has shaped your mind long enough, you stop being a user of the platform. You become a product of it. Former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris said it best: "We've built a system where a handful of engineers in Silicon Valley are making decisions that affect the thoughts of 2 billion people. 2 billion people who never voted on this. Never agreed to it. Never even knew it was happening. A small group of people reshaped the cognitive landscape of the entire human race, quietly, legally, profitably." So where does that leave you? If your feed is curated, your worldview is shaped, your attention is harvested, and your brain is being rewired, what does it mean to have a free thought? The philosopher Herbert Marcuse wrote in 1964 about a society where people are controlled not through force, but through desire, where they're given exactly what they want, in exactly enough quantity to keep them satisfied and compliant. He called it repressive desublimation. Controlling people by satisfying them. He wrote that 60 years before the smartphone existed. He was describing exactly this. So is there a way out? Can you reclaim your mind from a system designed to hold it? The answer is yes, but it requires something the algorithm is specifically designed to prevent. Friction. Intentional, deliberate friction. The algorithm hates friction. It needs smooth, seamless, effortless consumption. The moment you create friction, you weaken its hold. This means scheduled, time-limited use. Intentional search instead of passive scroll. Deliberately consuming content that challenges your existing worldview. The researchers call this algorithmic literacy, the ability to consciously understand that you are inside a design system, and to make informed decisions about how you engage with it. But individual action alone isn't enough. Because this is a systemic problem, and it demands systemic solutions. The EU's Digital Services Act of 2023 was the first real attempt to legislate algorithmic accountability. The first. It requires platforms to be transparent about how their algorithms work, give users the option to opt out of personalized recommendations, and submit to independent audits. A beginning. Only a beginning. Because the machines learning to predict your mind are advancing faster than the governments trying to regulate them. The gap between AI capability and human legislation grows wider every single year. And the next generation of this technology, multimodal AI, real-time emotional recognition, predictive behavioral modeling, makes today's algorithm look primitive. Imagine an algorithm that doesn't just know what you'll click, but knows what argument will change your mind about a political candidate. And then makes that argument automatically. We are not headed toward that future. We are already living at its edge. The tools exist. The data exists. The motivation, commercial, political, absolutely exists. Here is the most important thing to understand: you cannot opt out of living in a world shaped by these systems. But you can choose how consciously you move through it. Awareness is not a solution. But it is the only place a solution can start. If you don't know the system exists, you cannot even begin to resist it. The algorithm decides what you see. It shapes what you feel. It nudges what you believe. But the decision to understand that, to really understand it, that one is still yours. They built the most powerful mind-shaping system in history. They gave it your data, your attention, and your time. The question now is, what do you do with that knowledge?